Hi. Today I want to talk about the effect that avoidant personality disorder has on other people in your life. Um, it has been stated that avoidant personality disorder is the hardest personality disorder on the people who have the disorder. Um, and it's assumed that it would be either borderline or histrionic, that would have the sort of worst effect on the people in, like, surrounding the person with the disorder. Um, but I think that it's really not great, um, for the people around the people with avoidant personality disorder. Now, I mean, the good news is that once you're in somebody's life, um, basically somebody with avoidant personality disorder is one of, if not the lowest group in the entire, like, way they categorize anything, um, to leave somebody. So it's pretty stable generally. The problem is that even if you've accepted somebody into your life, into your group, into your whatever, it doesn't mean that you're going to accept that they actually want to be there. That there's not some mitigating factor to why they would have anything to do with you, that you wouldn't think that in the back of your head, oh, this person's going to, like, cut and run at any point and come to their senses and realize they shouldn't be around me. That is very difficult. I mean, if you put your shoe on the other foot, how would, sorry, the cat, how would you feel if the person that you liked or loved or whatever wanted to be around, if they were so dismissive? I mean, okay, first of all, that might feel like natural, expected, but I mean, it's insulting to somebody, you know, it's shocking. They may feel like you're on the same level and then realize that no, actually, the person with avoidant personality disorder is sort of pulling back and is masking a stronger relationship than it actually appears. Because things like, if you're getting too close to somebody, you freak out and it's not safe. Um, it's just unnatural and wrong. And if somebody wants to be hanging around you, there's something clearly wrong with them. And so to be with them, you diminish it somehow. That you know, it's barely an acquaintance. We're not really like friends. Or, this person's in this relationship with me because they're dependent upon my support in some way, like, you know um they either can't do something for themselves that I have to do for them, or uh like monetarily I'm supporting them or something like that. um that sort of thing is what you're thinking in the back of your head. Like, if this person had any sort of choice in the matter if you know, um, or they basically, if they could, they would leave. That's what you're thinking in the back of their head. When that comes out, that's like really harsh to think, oh, is that all you think of me? I mean, that's like I said, it's insulting. Um, yeah. I mean, and the thing is, you're trained, like, okay, absolutely trained into believing that you're not worth anything. I mean, like, I will remember forever because it was like every once in a while in your life, you're going to come across something that's going to shatter the illusion of your avoidant personality disorder, and that that's all you're worth. And in one case, um, my cousin's stepson was at every single family function, and this was when my mother was still around, and we wouldn't like hang out a lot, but we would see each other like at least 2 or 3 times a year. And my mother introduced me to this kid every single time. And of course, what that was supposed to mean, what I was supposed to take from that, what she was reinforcing, was that I was so unmemorable. I was so worthless that even that, you know, it's my relative, but my relative was going to forget that I ever existed as soon as I walked out the door and have nothing to do with me. And then finally, this guy like snapped at my mother, was like, I remember who she is. I was like, I'm not that utterly worthless. What? I'm what? I mean, I was just like, because he was super insulted that she would assume that I needed to be introduced again and again and again. It's like I knew who he was. He knew who I was. I didn't, you know, my relatives remembered who I was. They still remember who I am, even though I don't have very much to do with them at all. And I had one of my cousins like accosted me in a convenience store this like within the last couple of weeks. I don't know if it was a week ago or what, but I was just like, oh my god. And I mean, I see my relatives and I try to go the other direction. I remember them just like they remember me. I mean, um, but I mean, it was trained. I was trained like repeatedly forever that I am nothing. Um, and that people who should care about me really don't. Um, yeah, and it's really, that's very difficult for somebody to deal with. I mean, it's sort of like the truth comes out eventually. The truth comes out that you don't believe in X, Y, or Z. Um, you know, I have. This is weird. I'm gonna talk about it anyway. Whatever. I have some very, very, very black and white um, sort of standards of language. And again, I was trained. And I mean, some people get really annoyed and they're like, oh my God, you're talking about your parents again. Oh my God, you're talking about your parents again. Guess what? When you have avoidant personality disorder, yeah, that if it's a personality disorder, then yes, the negative impact and the trauma and the abuse is affecting your absolutely your daily life to the point where you have integrated it into your personality and you don't even notice it anymore. But yeah, that was one of the things, was this extreme black and white standards that I grew up with, where it was, there was, you know, 100% was usually not even enough. Um, and so there are certain things where I'm just like, really basic language things, where if I stop and think about it, they just don't apply in my life. I mean, okay. I mean, the most obvious one to people is the word love. Don't think it exists. It doesn't exist. It's not a thing. It's not an object. Um, but as a concept of how people interact with each other, I mean, I'm sorry, but every relationship is always, to a degree, transactional. Always. Always. Um, as it should be. Because, I mean, if you 100% just accept somebody for their really, really horrible negative behavior, like all their negative behavior, you're going to probably end up murdered. You know, I mean, people will push you until you're absolutely drained and dead. They'll take advantage of you. That is just human nature. So you have to have a limit, period. And if there's a limit, how is that love? Love is supposed to be limitless. So by definition, it can't exist in this world. Um, to take it down another step, and this is going to be really weird, and I'm sorry, and if I'm not trying to be political, I'm like dead serious here. Words like woman and lady, I have a problem with, because, okay, I'm not saying I am having gender issues at all. It's more like those are words of respect. If you meet these certain qualities, then you get to use that word about yourself. Well, I don't do all the things that women and ladies are supposed to do. And break it down even further. I don't think 100% I qualify as human. And I am dead serious, because it is a black and white thinking thing. Now I get it. This is part of, this is why it's a personality disorder, is because the extreme safety of 100% this and 100% that. I'm safe if I stay within the parameters. I'm not safe. I'm just never safe. Black and white, I am never safe. Okay, there we go. Now let's spiral into massive depression. But so the fact that I'm stuck with that, I mean, again, I was trained for this. And then I have this extreme black and white type thing. I mean, it doesn't, it's like, I guess I'm highly functioning, because it's not stopping me. I'm not so anxious about it that it's stopping me from existing in the world. But if I sat and thought about it, do I have a right to exist? Have I earned my space here? Because I was raised here that I need to earn my space. Anyway, back to the subject, which is, how does this affect other people? I mean, if you've got somebody that is that sort of black and white, where they just, okay, well, it's 99.9999999, that's not 100%, reject it. That is so hard to deal with. That's so hard to deal with. But The other part is, okay, people with avoidant personality disorder are the least likely to like bail on somebody. But they're also the least likely to really say, this and this and this are irritating to me. They don't think they have the right to say, hey, this thing you're doing is bothering me. Could you not do it, or not do it around me, or not do it as much? That, I mean, I'm saying that that's supposed to be acceptable, that you can do that. And then, of course, there's the boundaries thing. Now, of course, I grew up, my son grew up, he's autistic and he's extremely black and white. And the idea of a boundary is, okay, I'm going to dictate to you how to live your life. And if you choose not to follow my dictation, then you will be cut out forever. And it's like, that is not what I'm talking about. That is not what a boundary is. A boundary is saying, okay, these are my standards. This is what I will accept. And we're going to have to change something about how we interact if you can't accept that these are my standards. An example would be, for instance, where I live, part of my lease says that I can't have smoking in my, can't be a smoker, can't have smoking in where I live. So I would never have anybody in here, for real. But if I did have somebody and they smoked, okay, well, you have to smoke outside or you just can't come over because it's going to break the lease. Now, the thing is, that's pretty obvious, and also that has nothing to do with me. I would be able to enforce that because I wasn't the one that came up with that rule. But that is the type of thing that a boundary, that is exactly it. And it's usually how like people interact with you. Okay, that sort of thing. People with avoidant personality disorder cannot do that. They just can't. They accept until they get to the point where they snap. And then it's just gone and it's done and there is no coming back. Period. I have a friend with avoidant personality disorder who's like, I'm never going to have a fight with you. I'm never going to get angry with you. Never. Because the black and white thinking with that is, once you have a fight, that person is out of your life. So if we had a fight, then to this friend of mine, I would randomly at some point just go, okay, that's it, done, goodbye. Because that has been my friend's experience. At some point they have a fight and then the person disappears after that. And so not having an argument of any sort is the safety thing. Well, guess what? That's not how it works in real life. People are going to have a disagreement. People with avoidant personality disorder have got to be able to say, listen, this is not what I'm going to do right now. The thing like with my son, the boundaries that I do are, and it kind of annoys me, he'll be like, do you want to do this? And I'm like, I can't agree to that 100% right now. I don't know what my schedule is. So, I can't say anything because I can't have the fight of changing my mind. So if I am not 100% absolutely no question about it, this is what I'm going to do, I will never agree to anything with him because he has such a conniption fit if I change my mind or have to change my mind. Or if my car blows up, it's in the shop, he'll have a fit if I told him that I was going to give him a ride somewhere and I can't because I don't have a car anymore. That's how extreme it is. So it's like, okay, my boundaries are, I will never, ever, with him, put myself in a position where I can't do what I said I'm going to do. That is actually kind of, it's bizarre. And it is definitely me twisting my life around this thing that he has, but that's actually pretty good for somebody with avoidant personality disorder, because generally they don't even do that. They will just accept, 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 never ever say a peep about what their own opinion is or how they're feeling, especially if something's bothering them. They'll just put up with it, put up with it, put up with it, and then just snap, and it's done and it's gone. And it comes out of nowhere, and it's so shocking and horrible to the people that are on the receiving end of that, and they're like, what? And especially if they're like, hey, you had this problem, I don't need to do that, I can do something different, I didn't need to do that. And it's too late. The person with avoidant personality disorder, once they're like done, you're done, that's it. um they just, because they can't have a middle ground with that. And it is a worthiness thing, and it's like a, you know yeah, and that's why people are so feel so unsafe. That's why you don't trust anybody, because you can't depend on them, because my god, they're going to do this thing, and you can't have boundaries, you can't say anything, you're just going to tolerate whatever. People come in, they love people with avoidant personality disorder, because once they've gotten in, it's like everybody feels like it's like this perfect mesh, because the person with avoidant personality disorder doesn't speak up about what their limitations are until they can't take it anymore, and then they snap and they're gone. And it's awful. Anyway, I've been yapping for a while, so maybe I'll be quiet. But it's really hard on the people who are in the lives of somebody who has avoidant personality disorder. um and I'd almost say, if you're somebody who's that person instead of the person with avoidant personality disorder, it's almost like you can never be 100% sure of what's going on, and that there's not something underneath. And I don't know how. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have people in my life. I seriously, I don't know. I don't know how to get somebody with avoidant personality disorder to open up, to trust you, to be able to set down boundaries, to be able to say, okay, this is what's bothering me and this is what's not. I don't know how to do that. I just know that it's pretty much impossible. And I mean, I've had people in relationships with people with avoidant personality disorder, and they're like, oh my goodness, this is getting so hard and I don't know how to deal. And I'm like, yeah. And it's not going to get better. And as harsh as it is for the person with avoidant personality disorder, if it's gotten to that point, then the only advice I have is to break it off. And I know that's really terrible. But seriously, I mean, do you have any advice? Somebody with a diagnosis, and I know that'll start another whole thing. Like, oh, I have no, 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 no. If you have it and you're able to navigate relationships, no. You think you have it. You don't have it. But I mean, maybe somebody has figured it out. If you have, make a video, I'll link it, tell everybody what to do, how to set boundaries so you don't blow up at people, how to be, that's the thing. I mean, if you're truthful, you admit everything that's going on underneath the surface, and people are like, you really truly can't ever trust anybody. No, you really, 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 really are not capable of it, because as soon as you get close, your inner sense of security is going to snap back and say, no, well, you can't trust this, something's going to happen, and you just can't let it go. It's part of the personality disorder. I don't know, but maybe somebody has some ideas and some advice. In the meantime, see you next week. Bye bye.